In this video, I will be sharing a few ideas about why you may be overeating even when you want to stop. Perhaps your food behaviors don't support your happiness or your well-being, and yet, for some reason, against your will, you keep on eating and eating and eating. Just by clicking on this video, you are brave enough to consider that you may have an eating behavior that does not serve you. So I would invite you to take courage as you watch this video and to be open to perhaps another way of thinking about you and your behaviors. I am Kimberly and you are watching True Stature. Now the whole point of this channel is to come to terms with truths about ourselves, who we are, our patterns that may be holding us back, our talents and gifts that help us move forward, and the truths that we'd rather hide under the rug, where we fall short in our lives. But we need to understand our starting point, right? Otherwise, how will we know how to begin to transform our lives into something more of what we're hoping for? Please keep in mind that I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I am not a professional counselor of any kind. On the other hand, I am here to give you hope that if you struggle with any sort of food behaviors that are unhealthy, there is such a thing as recovery and a bright future full of happiness. One of the greatest things about this life experience is that the things that hurt us, the things that bring us down, they can be changed, they can be fixed, and they can be healed. You don't have to be stuck in damaging life patterns anymore. That is awesome news. There is a solution to your problems. With that in mind, let's get down to it. There's some things about food. Chips won't talk back to you. Ice cream will never point your faults out to you. And evidently, McDonald's hamburgers have the miraculous ability to make you actually happy. All kidding aside, food has been your longtime friend, hasn't it? And why wouldn't it be? Food is awesome. It nourishes us and we literally can't live without it. Plus, it's incredibly tasty. So what's the problem? We need it to live, it brings people together, it puts a smile on our face, until it doesn't. And only those with unhealthy eating behaviors will understand what I'm saying. We are the ones who are wired differently when it comes to food. For whatever reasons, we have patterns of using food to deal with difficult emotions. It is our drug of choice. And the sad truth is that that hunger will never be satisfied by food. I mean, think about it honestly. Has binge eating ever helped you? I think you already know that the mindless snacking or binge eating that you are doing isn't going to help you with the bigger issues in life that urge you to eat compulsively. And it won't steady your emotions for longer than a few fleeting minutes. There is not enough food in the world to fill a void that food is not meant to fill. I have always thought of people who knew how to draw a line when it comes to food as I've thought of them as normal eaters, right? They eat to nourish, they enjoy the food, they may even indulge a little bit, but when the hunger's gone, they stop eating and that's done. It's done. Personally, I never fit into that category and perhaps maybe you don't either. If you struggle with compulsive food behaviors of any kind, you may have had similar feelings. And if you really don't know yet, stick around till the end of the video where I'll be going over a checklist of compulsive food behaviors that will help you determine if this is something maybe you need to look into a little further. So now let's cover a bit on why we eat compulsively. Now I am pulling from my own experiences with food behaviors and also I am pulling from research that I've done. I love dictionaries and I looked up the word compulsion. Compulsion is the act of compelling. Compelling means to push towards a course of action in an overpowering way. And that compulsions often follow obsessions. An obsession is an idea or a thought that continually preoccupies or intrudes on a person's mind. So obsessive thoughts could range from, I need to get this term paper done, it's driving me crazy, to, I made that stupid comment, now what do they think of me? To even more deeply rooted thoughts, such as the feeling of low self-worth, or feeling that you're not enough, that you're not pretty enough, you're not savvy enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have all the talents that they have, you're not feeling heard or seen, you're invisible. You're not lovable, you're not able to accomplish your goals, you're not happy with the choices you've made, feeling stuck in life, feeling powerless, feeling alone, feeling stressed. The list can go on and on. These obsessions can trigger our compulsion to eat because eating reduces anxiety. It's been proven. So logically, we know that food won't solve the problem, but we are dealing with years and years of behaviors and patterns that don't only not help us, but they harm us. Now, if this really is an issue in your life, the day will come when you will have to admit that you are working against bigger demons than lack of self-discipline or lack of commitment. You are dealing with compulsions and addictions. That is a whole different ballgame. I am a woman who struggles to maintain a healthy relationship with food in my life. I am a compulsive overeater, and this behavior has been with me for as far back as I can remember. My compulsion does not define who I am, and it certainly doesn't determine my value. However, for many years, for actually most of my life, I thought it did. And so I held back in life and played small, trying to stay back in the shadows. And just to give you a little more sense of where I come from, I have hidden food in closets, I have eaten in secret, I have gone through drive-through after drive-through, and if the kids came home and had a snack after school, well, yeah, I was going to eat because I didn't want to miss out. If I made cookies for the kids, you better believe every time I walked through that kitchen, I grabbed a cookie. Not because I was hungry, but because I needed more, a little more, always more, to satisfy a hunger that was not physical at all. My eating was very unconscious at times, to be honest. I would plan the healthy meals, and I would go through with many of those healthy meals, but then I would find myself grazing throughout the day, kind of like an IV that I needed to get my drug from. I know that sounds drastic, but that's basically the truth. I hope you're getting the message. And if you see yourself, it's scary, right? Nowadays, I can look at my behaviors for what they were. Food was my drug of choice. Simple. And like any other addiction, I needed to get my fix throughout the day. Something to make me feel better, less bored, less stressed, less anxious, more happy, more something, anything. And as crazy as all of this sounds, there is no such thing as sanity when it comes to food addictions. Only intense and overwhelming compulsions to go to any length to find some sort of happiness. I have always tried to fix my life problems with food. This is not something I'm proud of. In fact, for many years, this has been a source of great shame for me. I would be embarrassed as I was shopping in the grocery store, hoping that people wouldn't notice all those binge foods in my cart. And it was a good thing I had all my kids with me because I could kind of just make it seem like it was their food. But I knew the truth, and I was ashamed. So I'm slowly inching my way towards a healthier lifestyle that includes eating behaviors that don't make me feel powerless or trapped or out of control. That isn't something that I've managed on my own, and in fact, this is definitely a work in progress for me. I have not arrived, that's for sure. In the next several videos, I will be covering more about my recovery, about my healing process. So if you struggle with food behaviors, you may want to stick around and subscribe. So let's get to that checklist that we talked about earlier. Answer these questions for yourself honestly. Do you find yourself eating more food than usual in a short period of time? Do you feel that you can't control your eating? Are you eating when you're not hungry? Are you eating to the point of discomfort or pain? Are you feeling guilty, ashamed, or distressed about your eating habits? Are you binging on high-calorie foods or junk foods? Are you trying to compensate for binge eating episodes by purging or fasting or even excessive exercise? Do you avoid social situations because you're afraid that people will see you eating? In future videos, I will share more about my recovery and about my healing process. It's not necessarily an easy road because there's some soul searching that has to happen. There has to be some understanding of life patterns, and that takes some digging. But going through recovery will take us from that place where we had to fix things with food to actually fixing our lives in ways that bring us true happiness and fulfillment, so there's no longer a need to solve our problems with food. There absolutely is hope for recovery for you and for me. Don't believe me? Stick around and see for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a thumbs up? It helps the channel so much. And more importantly, why don't you become a member of the True Stature community? Subscribe by clicking the link below. We need women like you. Join us. I'll see you next week. Bye. If you liked this video, you may enjoy these videos as well. Or check out my library of videos to see what strikes your fancy this week.